Welcome to another beautiful day on the Queen Amina Show. Always a pleasure to come to you guys right from the comfort of my home. Yes, lockdown. I'm still locked down. But I hope you guys are out and about, being careful, staying safe, keeping your safe distance. Today we're going to be talking about good policing. Everybody's super discouraged in the society about the police, the brutality, the killing. But there is always good news on the Queen Amina Show. And one of such good news today is going to come straight from our guest, Constable Niran Jayensan, out of the Toronto Police Department. He works there, met him 3 years ago, and I won't say much. Let's bring him up so we can say hello to him. While you guys are on the show, you know the tradition here. Please share the broadcast so that other people can, get encouraged to be friendly with the police people in our society. Again, help us subscribe to our YouTube channel. We want to grow that channel so we'll be able to broadcast news from there, and a lot of people will be connected to enjoy and be a good citizen. So let's bring up our guests today and my co-host. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing today, Constable Niran and Dr. Princess Mokolo?
I am doing very well. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Queen. Thank you for having me, Doctor. I appreciate it.
You
It's
are
a great
very welcome.
it's a great day, and I'm very happy that we're having this conversation today.
Very
No,
timely and very important. Yeah. So, Constable, tell our audience, who you are. I know you're a police officer and you're not in uniform today because, yeah, it's your off day.
that's correct. Yes, I'm Constable Niran Jayensan. I work with the Toronto Police Service, and today happens to be my off day. And Queen wanted me to come on the show, and I'm gladly participating in this. I've been with the Toronto Police Service for about 6 years now, and I work in the primary response unit.
It looks like you've been there forever. It didn't feel like 6 years.
Thank you,
You're
Queen.
you're doing an amazing job, and thank you so much for coming on today. As much as we laugh and we smile and we cry and we yell and we hold up flags, and the reality is, police people are supposed to be the friends to everyone in the community. But the story today is not the same. So that's why we bring you to come tell us how we can fix this.
Right, and I think it's very important that we speak. We hear the community, and the community gets a chance to hear us. I think that's important.
Very important, yes. So, Naira, we're gonna start with, and Dr. Mokolo, please join in. Jump in when you need to ask questions. And audience, make sure you're sending in your question. He's only here with us for 45 minutes or a little bit more. So, send in your question on time so we can go through it, because I have a lot of questions myself. I don't want to be selfish. I want to answer you guys' questions, right? All right. So, I think we should start from a place of what do you define, how do I frame that question not to get me in trouble or in trouble? How can we, the society, be a friend to the police officer? Just maybe talk generally about it for us.
Right. So I'd like to take this back to Dr. Peel's principles, right? The police force or the police unit is part of the community. And it is not a different community. It is not another community. It is part of the community. So community's problems are my problems. Community's problems are the police's problems. Police's problems are the community's problems. And if we start to look at it that way, and if we start to engage in that way, I think we can build a better community, right? I truly believe in that. I've worked with Toronto Police for now 6 years. And Queen, I couldn't tell you the amount of time that we've responded, and we've helped other people for whatever the crisis they were going through, whether that's mental health or whether that's a loss of life, whether that's just someone that needs some help. So we continue to do this every day, and I'm hoping that we'll continue to do that throughout the future.
That's awesome. Down the road, I'm gonna play. You know what? I'm gonna just quickly play that video just because you said something about the police people helping people in need in the society, and the news media never ever say anything about this. So, guys, just give me a minute here. I'm gonna show you guys something that this gentleman did. I didn't tell him that I was gonna show this, so but I will. I just want you guys to see.
We are live outside a North York Walmart tonight where people are praising a Toronto police officer for the way he dealt with a young man suspected of shoplifting. Good evening. Instead of arresting the 18-year-old suspect, the officer not only let him go, but actually paid for the items the man was accused of stealing.
It was all in an effort, he says, to give the teenager a second chance.
It was last night inside this Walmart when an 18-year-old was caught shoplifting by security. He had attempted to steal a dress shirt and tie, but it was his life story that touched police.
This young person has been facing his own difficulty in life, and he was looking to straighten all that by providing for his family.
He was not in the store to steal and then resell the clothes, but to look smart for a job interview tomorrow, a job at a restaurant he desperately needs after falling on hard times. Instead of arresting him, Constable Niran Jayensan bought the shirt and tie for him and wished him well in his job interview.
This person truly did not know how to go about it. He didn't know where to go get a dress shirt and a tie for an interview, which he did not definitely have. But he wanted to go get that job, and that was in his mind. And I think he truly made a mistake here. Second chance that we all get, and I hope he benefits from this.
Outside the Walmart today, shoppers applauded the good deed.
I think that's wonderful. By somebody giving back to the community, why not? Should always have somebody in need, right?
Well, if the guy's down his luck and that was his only choice and the cop have a good heart, then yeah, I think it is a good thing.
It's really hard nowadays for people to even find work, and just to be able to, I think that was really nice of him to do that because he's giving him a chance.
The cop buying it for him is a good thing, but I hope the cop let him know that what he did is not the right thing to do, in spite of the fact that he needed it badly. He could have asked.
The officer's supervisor had nothing but praise.
Well, I think the officer did a fantastic job. He exercised his discretion, definitely showed some humanity.
Wow, that's huge. The news took over that the news took over that, and that was how we got to know about you. The Vigo Award International awarding good deeds for that people do around our community. But one thing that bothers me all the time is a lot of the time stories like this are like your story was given only 2 minutes, 2 seconds on the media. And if you Google good policing, you will see police shooting, police brutality, police race, police this, police that. More of the bad is being, projected. Constable Niran, how can we change this? That more of the good that police people are doing will begin to come out more to encourage the people in the society to begin to look at policing differently.
Mm-hmm. Queen, let me start by just thanking you first, and I'm humbled. I truly mean that. But when I stand and hear this story in front of some of the officers that I work with, to me, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed of this deed coming to the news just because you have no idea the good that the people, who are part of this police force have done. It's just not showcased in TV or news. I'm embarrassed to say that this is what made the news. just because there are hundreds and hundreds of police officers who have done far beyond for individuals in our communities, right? And that's just is not showcased. So when I was recognized for this deed, I didn't take it as it was my own, but for taking it for the people that has devoted their lives for communities and children and youths in uniform, right? And I took that as being the representative who's actually getting this recognition for them. So there's hundreds and hundreds of stories like these that just doesn't make it to news or media doesn't get to see it. So it's important to know that. As I was mentioning before, Queen, I think today, before I left work on last night, actually Tuesday night, we had come up to 1,300,000 calls. 1,300,000 calls to date from the start of the year that Toronto Police have responded. And you don't get to hear about the 1,300,000 calls that police have responded, interacted with public, may have had a positive outcome, may have had an outcome that police are going to investigate further and proceed with that. But none of that makes it to the news, and that to me is saddening. And as you know, news medias are corporations that work for profit. Yeah. I'm yet to see a news media that works for nonprofit, right? So I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And that's why we need to promote it, and that's why it's so important for community to trust people and media sources that are not for profit, that are truly working for our communities.
You see, like this platform, I have been approached so many times to bring on trending news and gain followers, but that was not what God told me to do. Mm-hmm. I am here to shine light on good deeds, good people, because Amen. Everybody is discouraged about everything. Mm-hmm. And it's not supposed to be that way. There's still beautiful things going on. It's just like you said, there's no news media focusing on these great things to encourage people. People buffet on bad news. And the more bad news you're projecting, the more bad things you're going to see. And we want to be different. And that's why I thank people like you that see the sense in what we are doing and say yes to come. Because again, we don't have 10 million followers watching you right now, but this video is going to stay here forever. So somebody is going to stumble into it and say, oh, there's still good police people out there. And we have done our own duty. So thank you so much for agreeing to come. Now, you talked about 1 million calls. And you're right, nobody talks about that. But do you think that contributes to some of the police officers that get so tired, responding to these things, and somewhat something happens at the point that they have worked so many hours, and then somebody just triggers something and they will act out of it? Is that a contributing factor, you would think?
Well, Queen, police officers are people. Right. We are people with hearts, minds, and a body, and we're just normal people that have a job. I would call it a noble job, and we continue to do that. Mind you, I just want you to understand this, and I think a lot of people don't hear this often. For example, if I'm in uniform and I'm working and I'm in my patrol car, I receive a call for, let's say, shots fired. There's a shooting or a shots fired call. I'm having a coffee. I'm parked somewhere else. Here I am. I get this call. All of a sudden, you're scrambling to put this coffee cup somewhere, and all of a sudden, your body and mind changes. And I just want people to understand what we go through just to get to that scenario where I'm going to put my car into drive. Now the radio is blaring. There's a screen that's saying that, hey, this is what's going on. There's a shooting that has happened. There's possibly a victim. There's possibly a perpetrator from all this. And I put it to drive, and I have to get there. There's probably 3 or 4 kilometers away from where I am, and I'm driving, and I have my license signs on. Now I have to concentrate on the traffic to ensure that I don't make any mistakes. I don't hit anybody. I don't. Pedestrians are crossing, and they don't know what's going on.
Mhm.
And at the same time, I'm listening to this radio for a suspect vehicle possibly that's going to be leaving a scene, and I'm on my way there, and I'm looking out for, is it a great car with 4 people? Okay, what am I looking for? Is that a great car? Is that a great car that passed by?
Wow.
Is that 4 people inside it? And I'm rushing to this call. Here I am trying to hear what's going on the radio, at the same time concentrate on driving so I don't make a mistake here. And going to it, there'll be a pedestrian that'll be crossing that just doesn't hear the sirens or lights, or doesn't understand the emergency. But I am trying to get to this call to help out somebody, and I stop and I listen, and at the same time I'm driving to this call. En route, I'm thinking, whether did I miss this great car? Did I miss the suspects? Am I doing something right? Should I turn around, follow this car that just passed by? All these things are running through my mind. And I get to the scene, and I'm trying to. The caller might say, "Oh, there's a person by the garbage can." I don't know where the garbage can is. I don't know what you're talking about, but I still have to find out. Here I am thinking, what garbage can? Where am I looking? What am I looking for? And I get to a scene, and I'm trying to reverse back, and there's somebody honking because they don't know what's going on here. And I get to a place, and God forbid there is a victim, right? A victim who's been shot, and I get down. All this thing that went through my mind. Now I have to focus on. How could I help this person? How could I help this person, right? Immediately I run to the scene. I don't know much to anything that's been going or that happened there. All I could do is, let me see how I could help this victim. And I've been in these situations more than anyone could imagine, right? And I'm trying to help this person. Okay, does this person needs CPR, and if that person needs CPR, if he or she is losing vital signs, I'm going to jump in there, do CPR. My job as a police officer, when I signed up to do, is to save lives, is to make a difference. About going through all that, now I have to go through this. There's blood everywhere, possibly. I'm trying to do CPR, trying to get this person so medical personnel can have a chance of saving this person, right? And then I have to get up, and I have to see if there was any suspects around. There's a shooting. There's possibly a person with a gun. Now I have to look for that person. Am I in danger while I'm doing this? That's something that I have to look around as well. As soon as that is finished, now I have to make sure that this person reaches to a hospital safely. So what we call an emergency run. I jump in my car. The person is in the ambulance. I'm going to clear the path for the ambulance to get to the hospital as soon as possible. What we call an emergency run. Here I am, blaring my lights and sirens, trying to get to the hospital so I can get this person as fast as I can to a hospital so that he or she has a chance. As soon as that person goes into the hospital is when the whole rush just comes down on me. Now I have to deal with that. As a person, I have to deal with it. As a police officer, I have to deal with it. But I can't show emotions. Now, I still have a job to do. And at the end of the day, then I come home. This repeatedly plays in my mind. Did I do everything right? Right? And I do not have a single space to make an error throughout this. Think about the driving. I don't have space to make an error. I don't have a place to make a mistake. I have to do all this 100% right every single time. Right? And it takes a toll on you.
A lot.
It takes a toll on you.
Yeah, and this is something that we the civilians don't know. We just see a policeman in a uniform, and we expect the policeman to become a magician that, you know, it's out of this world. So we expect you to wind your magic finger and everything gets fixed. So I think one of the things that, just my opinion, is, example, you said you receive a million call up to date. I don't think we have a million police officers in Toronto area alone. So the work, maybe if anybody that is making the decision listening to Queen Amina, get more police officers on the road, hire more police officers to give them help. It's just like in the medical field, you know, there's so much people sick and so very little doctors and medical professionals take care of them. So the work becomes overwhelming. And you have explained a perfect situation that this is only you. And forget that. You have your wife at home, maybe children, and maybe you even mentors somewhere else. Some police officers do mentorship too. They're training somewhere else. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And then maybe you're just finishing that call, another call comes in,
That's correct.
and you show up there and somebody is there yelling down your throat and cussing you, not knowing where you just came from. So if you put all those things together, like you said, you are human. And I want everyone listening that we need to help the police officers also. If we don't step in to help them, the killing is never going to stop because somebody is going to lose it. It's just the person happens to be in uniform. You know, a study that I came across today said, it's a news article that shows that 90% uncertainty intervals of every 100,000 men and boys in the United States will be killed by police in their lifetime. And 4 to 5% of women and girls will be killed. That number can be reduced if we, the public, choose deliberately to work with the police officers. I think that numbers can be reduced. So, guys, you might not like me after today, but that's okay. Let us support the police officers. Not just police officers, even just the elders, in people in the community that are trying to help the police. Some of them are being gunned down too. I read something, I didn't print it, so I can't refer to it right now. But they have some communities in the United States now where they have people that have lived in that community for a long time. They collaborate as an organization with the police officers to help, you know, keep a watch in things that are happening in that neighborhood. And those people are being gone down now too. So where do we draw a line and say, what next?
Right. So let me take this opportunity, and Queen, I appreciate you bringing this to light. So let me take this opportunity to say this, right? As a police officer, as a member of the community, let me take this opportunity to say this. Our fight is against police brutality, police misconduct, not the police. Right? Our fight is against racism and racist, not against other races. Right? Our fight is against injustice, not against justice. I think it's very important for people to understand this. We need to distinguish or differentiate between bad policing and the majority of the good policing, as we differentiate against the legitimate protesters from criminal behavior. I think it's equally important to do that. Right? Go ahead.
Thank you so much for that that brief talk. Dr. Mokolo, do you have questions for him before I go on? Because you leave me, I'm going to keep going.
I wonder, what are your prescriptions? What would you prescribe for improved police community relations? And let's talk in categories. Let's talk about, youths and teenagers, and then let's talk about adults. How can we improve the relationship between these groups and the police?
Right. So first of all, I think there are tons of number of police officers who've been out there in the community that are doing this community relations, especially building this trust and relationships with our youth. Right. But a simple story that I shouldn't call it simple, a horrific story that was media showing this police officer taking a life of another man unjustly came to news. My 12-year-old cousin started tweeting that or portraying it in his Instagram, and in his mind, that's what he remembers about policing, right? That is, to him, that's what policing has become, and that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. There's years and years and years of work that died right there with George Floyd that day, right? And I mean that. There's a part of policing that died right there with George Floyd that day. Yeah, and I hope we get justice for that. But it's important also to speak about every single officer who are out there that are doing the work. So we're trying to build this relationship. We're trying to build this trust. Police interaction should not be just because of a criminal act or a street violation. Police interaction, I believe, needs to be far beyond that. I think it needs to be about having community officers in your community, I believe, having school resources officers in our schools that make the positive changes to our young people. So those interactions are important, and I can tell you, a lot of them, or majority of them, are very, very positive. When you get a chance to ask a question to a police officer, hey, why does this happen? Or why can't I do this? Why do you think this is wrong? And young people have a very curious mind, and you got to give that opportunity for a person to come and ask questions, and we got to present that opportunity. So I believe in policing, or good policing in schools. I believe police officers in schools that interact with young people, and we need to continue that.
Awesome.
That's a good point. There's a question from the audience. Say, you may be one of the good cops. I expected that. Say, do you think there are bad cops in Toronto City?
Well, policing, like any other industry, people come from all walks of life, right? We're not born as police officers. Matter of fact, I didn't even think I was going to choose this career until I was an adult in my 20s, and that's a police officer made a difference in my life, and that's how I choose. I went about seeking this career, and so there are people from many walks of life in policing, like any other industry, like in media, like in finances, like in hospital settings. And they all come with their own biases and their own lived experiences and maybe their own prejudice. So training and awareness can help us through this. And I can tell you, Toronto Police, when I go through my training every year, it changes every year. It changes every year. It evolves into what our society has become. And that's what trainings and education need to reflect on. That can possibly change our relationships.
Awesome. Do you think with all the news, I hope that answers your question, Henry, I think. So thank you for responding to that question. Do you think with all the bad news about policing going around, it's affecting the good police officers? How is it affecting? Let's talk about you. How is that affecting you?
So in a personal level, I can tell you, people are still calling us because they need us, right? We're still responding to calls because they are in dire need of help. and we're going there. We're doing what we can do to best of our abilities to help this communities and people, a person who's calling the police. And that continues to happen every single day. And I don't think I've seen a reduction just because of what's going on in the media and so forth. And we will continue to help that. And I am not afraid to do my job because some person, some community needs my help, and I will continue to do that, right? The right way. And I will continue to do that. Now, has it affected us? Yes, it has affected us in such a way. Let me give you a personal example where I was sitting with my partner. We just responded to a family disturbance where I had to deal with a gentleman who the elderly parents just couldn't handle him, and they'd called the police for some assistance. And we went in there, we dealt with him. It's the same family, same household, and we just now have to tell this adult person to respect the parents and the rules of the household and so forth. Anyways, when we dealt with that, my partner and I, we were sitting down near a park to write our notes down and document what has happened. As part of accountability, we document everything that has happened. I'm going to say a mom and a daughter just walks by. I wave. We're in a park setting, and there's no wave, and I understand that when some people don't wave, but then she shakes her head. Right, it hurts.
Yeah,
right. It hurts. So.
Wow.
When you go to a restaurant and they don't want to serve you because in uniform, it hurts.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sorry, Niran. And the truth is, again, everybody watching, I mean, like, he's speaking from the heart. Like, there was nothing planned here, and it really hurts. I'm just putting myself in your situation now when somebody in the media do something bad and then they say, oh, all of the media people did something bad. It hurts. And then you go out and that stigma is placed on you just because. It's wrong. I came across a video yesterday where a police lady out of Toronto went to McDonald's to get coffee and she wasn't treated nicely. So guys, please, like, it's not every police. I would bring you hundreds of police officers that are doing great things. And you know what? The month of June, I'm going to do a lot of that. I'm going to bring a lot, July, yeah. I'm going to bring a lot of police officers on my show because it's important that we hear from these guys. They're working hard to protect us.
They're human. They're human.
They're human. Yeah,
they bleed just like the next person.
If I pinch you, won't you pinch me back because it hurts?
They bleed. He bleeds just like you.
Exactly. And look at the scenario he just gave to us. I was just picturing myself in that situation. Everything he just told us, he didn't even say anything about his own life. What if he gets there, immediately they see a police officer coming and boom, they shoot him? You didn't even say anything about your life. You were all what you were saying was how you're thinking of the situation, you're thinking of the people, the road you're driving, to be careful. You didn't say nothing about when I get there, I don't even know what could happen to me. I didn't hear you say that. So genuinely, your heart is for the people. And the moment we, the society members, begin to see that police are supposed to be. I grew up knowing that policemen are our friends. That's how I grew up, and I'm almost 50. So that's 50 years ago. So nothing changed. Nothing should change. Are there bad cops out there? Yes, absolutely. There are bad people, just like in every organization. You go to the bank, they're bad managers, bank managers. I worked for one. I'm not afraid to say it on air. So the thing is, I'm actually speechless just now. Like,
Well, so let me just jump in and ask
yeah.
you. That was a scenario where that was, a kind of human moment for you. Where another human being would not acknowledge you because of, the uniform. What are some memories you have of, experiences where you have modeled, ideal police community relations? We watched a clip, of you stepping forward and saving that young kid. What are some other examples like that where you have seen yourself modeling for the next cop? This is how we should be doing this work.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's important to say that people come out and say that there's 1,700 ways to do policing and all of them are wrong, right? So policing, unfortunately, is like, let me put this into perspective so for some of the viewers, it's like refereeing at a basketball game. You need a referee. You need a referee to call out what's right and wrong. You need a referee to say, hey, you made a foul now. You're going to sit down. There are rules and laws in our society, and that's why we are who we are. And sometimes police officers have to call it for what it is, and whether you like it or not, but that's what moves a society forward. Like a referee in a basketball game. Sometimes when this person is seeing the game unfold, he or she is going to call out for what they believe they saw the right decision. The luxury that basketball games have is that they can actually play back and say, hey, the referee's decision was wrong. I can take that away now and make the right decision. We don't have that luxury, right? I am going to call out what I believe is right in the instance that I believe what I saw, and to make, and I hope I make the right decision and move forward with it. So it is very, very, very difficult. We have to make split-second decisions every single time, and 100% of the time it has to be right. So having said that, it's important for us to understand the community and what they're going through, especially young people. And I like to speak about young people because it's growing minds, and it's important for us to understand what that young person has gone through, the lived experiences of that person, and whether he or she made a true mistake, or whether they've crossed their boundaries and they keep repeatedly making a mistake. And as police officers, we have to do, sometimes I go in there and I have to lay a charge. It is not the best day. Yeah, it is not a good day for me. And it is, but I still have a job to do. There's laws to be followed, and I still have to do what I have to do. So I continue to do that. Now, when you ask of examples, I couldn't tell you the hundreds and hundreds of times that I have witnessed other police officers say, okay, I understand that you made a mistake here, but I'm going to give you a chance. I'm going to give you a chance to walk away from this, or to get you away from the situation, and for you to have some little bit of time to think about this. And then maybe you're going to do good. But that is, again, a personal risk every police officer is taking. I would like to mention that for every crime, there's a victim. There is a victim involved with every crime that happens. So as police officers, we have to be mindful of that victim's perspective as well. Are we going to victimize this person further if I let this person walk off? So those are decisions that we continuously battle and make, and I think we've been doing a tremendous job at it.
I have a follow-up question.
Sure.
So I'm glad about your affinity for young people and your compassion for them. So what would you say to the young person out there about the relationship between obeying rules at home, obeying the rules at home, learning early to obey the rules at home? 1, 2, being impressionable by your peers, being easily influenced by your peers. What are the relationships between these two things and mistakes that they make, a life of crime?
Right. So I think every young person starts their decisions from their households. So it's very important for us to understand that when they're growing up, whether a person is whether a person chooses to, whether he or she's going to listen to their parents or mother or father, and what happens when they don't. I like to use this example all the time. When you say, hey, you're allowed to go outside, but then come back by 9 o'clock at night and don't be late. If that person comes back at 9:15 or 9:30, if that young individual comes back at 9:30 and you don't say anything, there is no words, right? Next day it's going to be 10 o'clock.
And then it goes viral.
11 o'clock. And sooner or later, you're not going to find this person at home, right? So it is important as parents and as adults to ensure that young people understand what our limitations are. And it all starts with home, right? Policing, we cannot do this alone. We just cannot do this alone. We need our community partners. We need our parents. We need our communities. Our governments to address this through this.
That is fantastic.
Right. The other part of the question was about being impressionable and being influenced by your peers. How does that relate to a life of crime and a life of mistakes?
Right. So, I before I talk about that, I do have to acknowledge our young people. They've done so well. They have done so well. You have no idea how impressed I am of our young people, right? They whether it's 1 million followers on social media, Instagram, whether they have, achieved high grades, I am very impressed of our young community now, right? They go through so much more that we couldn't understand, yet they succeed more. So I'm very impressed with it. Now, choosing your friends and going through that comes down to every individual. It always comes down to the parenting of telling them what's right and wrong. Okay, you can hang out with these people, but then if they're doing something wrong, if they're doing drugs, if they're into petty crimes, it's important to address that right then and there and say, this is where you're leading, and eventually this is going to get to a life of crime. And crime never pays. Crime never pays. Selling drugs or doing something illegally never pays in the end. You're going to grow up out of it, and then next thing you know, you just don't have any other world experiences. You're going to be stuck at a place where you can't get a job. You're now grown up. All you know is crime. Now you'll have to do odd jobs, right? So it's important for us to get those young people involved in positive stuff, such as sports, such as counseling. As soon as you identify something as there's an issue with the young person, let's intervene. Let's intervene and take that into a positive notion. Whether calling a police officer or going to a police officer and say, hey, this is what's going on. What type of resources do you have to help this person? What type of resources do you have to help my son or daughter before it gets too late? And I bet you 100% those police officers will be like, thank you for coming to us. Let's get involved, right?
I'll give you an example for that, and what you said really works. I have a friend that the son was giving so much trouble, and she has a police guy as a friend, a family friend. So she arranged with the police officer to come into their house with a uniform to come and sit down and talk to the boy. That not like the mother reported the boy now. He came as an outsider, that he behaved like the parents don't know him. And he said, well, the other day I saw you doing this, and the other day I saw you doing that. If you do it again, we might come after you. So I just came to the house to give you a warning. And trust me, He never went into that group again. So yeah, the parents, we need to work with police officers. If I hear you correctly, you're saying don't be scared to call for help. When
Right.
you have a teenage child that is, it's not going the right way, call for help, parents, before it gets out of hand. And then we have a situation in hand that you can manage. Anyways, our time is going. Guys, you're on to the Queen Amina show. And today our guest is Constable Niran Jayensan out of Toronto Police. And we are talking about good policing. Before we let you go, I want us to talk a little bit more about the little guy that you helped in Walmart. How is he doing? Are you in touch with him after you helped? And by the way, why did you? Okay, it's one thing not to arrest him, to throw him in jail. Why did you choose to pay for the clothing for him? That was the most beautiful thing. Out of your pocket, you paid for the clothing. Tell us a little bit more, because the video didn't really give it away.
Well, it's not significant enough to showcase it, Queen, but then
I sorry to interrupt there, right there. It is big, huge deal. You know why? Before you go on, I'll tell the audience and I'll tell you why. Because I want you to continue to do this. And I want a lot of other police officers that are going to see this down the road to go and do that little thing you think is not significant enough. I'll tell you how significant it is. Because that day you thought you saved a boy, one person, right? But no, you have saved a generation. Because that one person is a generation yet unborn. You saved that boy's life from going to 18 years in jail. That 18 years he would have, or even if it's 1 day in jail, he's going to go into his record. Like you said, when he goes to look for a job next time, he won't find that job. That's one. Number two, you gave him a second chance. So guess what? Next time, if somebody offends him or somebody does something, he's going to remember that he was given a chance and he would pay it forward. That is another thing. Number three thing that you did, he would be able to reach back into that goodness that somebody someday did for him in an adult age and return such lessons back to his children. Maybe his son becomes a police officer one day, or the daughter. You never know. And something like this comes to be, he will say, son, your dad was in that situation one day, and one policeman did this for me. So what you did is not just for one person. You saved a generation. And please don't ever look down on it. Yes, it becomes the news that was picked up because that's the one that made it to the news. And that's why people like us are here, to bring light to such things. When you reward the little, then the big begins to come. So please don't ever say it's small. It is huge. Thank you. So
thank you. Yes, I am in touch with that individual. Matter of fact, I haven't spoken to him in a while, but if I could say this, and I hope he doesn't mind, he's got a secure career right now, and he's doing well. Him and his father has rented an apartment, and they are living together. He's supporting his father. His family members, sister had moved out with somebody else, but yet they're doing extremely well. And I'll tell you, I am so glad that I made that mistake. Not a mistake of not charging this person, just because his life is completely different. It is not a life of crime anymore. He doesn't even think of that. That doesn't even exist in his life now. He's a hardworking individual who's helping his family and doing well. So, I'm glad. And
that's amazing. Thank you so much for that. Before I let you go, thank you so much for everything today. And that young man, I hope to God that someday we'll get in touch with him and bring him on the show to come share his experience and what has he done from that experience since the day he was given a second chance. It would be nice to hear from him. So I'm going in search for him, and I'm sure you can help us out too.
I appreciate it, and that's completely up to that person. If
we'll see, we'll try. You never know. So yeah, I'm going to just let you give up. Dr. Mokolo, do you have any other question for him before?
Oh no, just big thank you for showing us the human side of policing.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Dr. Paul. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. So what are some of your final words, advice, anything you need to tell our audience before we go?
Sure. Let's continue what we're doing. Change is always great. So for those people who are working towards that, for those people who have taken proactive steps to make changes, keep at it. Keep at it, and we need changes in all parts of our lives, every society, every communities, and that's how we were built. That's how we progressed. So it's important that they continue to do that, and your voices are heard. And at the same time, always remember our fight is against wrongful policing, police brutality, not against the police service. So it's important to understand that.
Thank you so much. And Helen says, thank you. God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Adi says, you are awesome. Thank you, officer.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time today. You have yourself a very wonderful rest of your day.
You're very welcome.
Keep doing that little thing that you think is little. Please keep doing it every time you have an opportunity to take off the police hat and become human, and use your human heart out of uniform. Please use that opportunity. It's blessing lives. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. I truly appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right. That was such a wonderful guy. Like
Yeah, it was a moment for me.
Yeah. He really, he just, I almost started crying when he broke down, and that hurts. It really does. So guys, please let's support our police, men in uniform, men and women in uniform, period. Whether black uniform or blue uniforms, let's support them. Crimes are going to continue. That's because we are human, but we can be a part of the change to minimize the graphic results that ends up happening because somebody is not listening or somebody is being stubborn over something. We, the parents, also, he touched about it, we could help our children, at home setting before they even get ready to go out there. I keep using the quote from Adolf Hitler, which says, give me a child 0 to 5 and I'll own that child for life. He knows that is the time you mold that child. 0 to 5, the child is made up. If you are allowing your children to watch all the horror things on TV, I see 5 years old now having a cell phone, they have iPads. Nothing against it, but they don't need it because whatever they're watching is not adding to them. I decided, Dr. Mokolo, to stay home with my children 6 years. I had a fantastic job. People that know me will tell you. I left it because I wanted to be home. I was thinking into their future already because what I see, I don't like it. So I want to be able to teach them while they are young. So when they grow up, hopefully they could be part of the change. Maybe I will live this lifetime to see that change. So for parents that have the opportunity to stay home with your children, please do it. Career will come. Look at me, almost 50. I'm still jumping right back into something that I love to do. I could have gone to study journalism after my first year, degree, or go and do this or do that. But I stayed home. So parents, we have a big role to play, big, huge role to play. What else did you pick up from what he was saying?
Well, yes, and I'm absolutely with you on that one. If you can afford it, if it's if financially you can afford it, it's worth it for want parents to pay more attention to the kids. But yes, from all that we've talked about, I just want to make this appeal to parents. Yes, as we continue to advocate for better policing, as we continue to advocate for more for improvements in police community relations, we need to also advocate for an increased sense of responsibility in our roles as parents. We talked about setting those boundaries from early on. Young people that do not appreciate boundaries from their homes and not going to understand what it means to respect boundaries when they get out of the home.
Even at school, to the teachers.
We need to, set those boundaries. We need to, implement those consequences. We set the boundaries, we spell out the consequences, and we implement. If kids never have an experience of, consequences being implemented, they're not going to understand why, they need to respond to the law and order out there.
It will come to them as a shock and they would rebel. Right.
We need to pay attention to the friends and the relationships our children have with their friends, and how vulnerable they are, how susceptible they are, how easily influenced they are. We are the ones that spend the most times with them. The police get a glimpse of them either at the point of, a poor choice, or at the point of somebody suspecting or reporting them. But we as the parents spend more time, and we know these kids. So if your child is having some deviant behavior, you're supposed to be the first police in that child's life.
That's right.
And then when you see those behaviors, don't just ignore it. Don't just, oh, he's an adult. Or, no. Because the word of God says, train a child when they're young in the way that they should go. And when they grow, they will not depart from it. And if we see them departing from it, we do have a responsibility. We don't sit and fold our arms and then something happens out there. And then we are upset. We need to start the policing at home. As much as I am all for advocacy, for better policing, better police community relationships, consequences for bad police, I am pleading with parents, let us do a better job. Let's not wait till it's too late. Let's look at their friends, consequences, boundaries. Let us rise up in arms in our homes and insist on our young people behaving in the ways that will prevent them from altercations out there with the law enforcement.
Another thing that I'm beginning to see, talking to a lot of parents in this area of helping the children learn good manners from home before going out, is
learn obedience.
Yeah. But you see, the thing is, the challenges some of the parents are having is dad will say this and mom will say that. Mom will say this and that.
Dysfunctionality in our homes.
Exactly. It's a big, huge deal. And sometimes you notice that dad is very busy with every other thing. Mom is very focused on raising the family. So mom is studying and watching and gaining knowledge in that area, but dad is never there, busy trying to provide like the Lord says, right? Then when mom says, because maybe dad is more educated or dad is more the boss in the house, dad will shut up. So it kills that spirit. Where is the balance? That's right. That's right. Because raising children, it's not a one-way thing. It evolves. Just like he was saying that policing is like a coach, a referee. The same thing at home. The situation when you're playing a match in the field is never the same. You might play in Philadelphia and the same team comes to Toronto, a completely different defense or offense. The same thing at home. So collaboration amongst the parents to be able to say, yes, this is the
It's
rule,
yes
and
and no is
yes,
no.
and no, it's
Be
no.
be on the same page.
That's right.
Respect mom's, opinions, and dad respects mom respect dad as far as discipline. Because the kids, they pick on these things and then they play you against one another to their
Bingo.
own detriment.
Bingo.
You can go back in the room and say, "Oh, girl, that was a little bit too harsh."
Right behind the doors.
That was over the top. But in front of the kids, one voice.
Yeah.
One voice, one standard.
And once they see that, they're gonna obey.
Support each other. Parents support each other in disciplining the kids, because you are
You can
one
disagree.
unit.
Yeah, you can disagree in every other thing, but as long as it's for the good of the child, don't, because you don't like your wife or you don't like your husband or you guys have your differences, you destroying the children's life by saying no to something that you know is good for them, or saying yes to something that you know is not good for them. Don't do that. So this is where I'm seeing
bribing the children,
Bribing.
And letting them go
towards you're the good.
let them escape the consequences of their wrongdoing just because you want to win them to yourself. No,
and some parents, they've lost so much time with their children that they think this is an opportunity for me to win it back now.
To make up by allowing everything. Anything goes. No, because if you don't police them, they're going to go out there and get in trouble. And that reminds me of something important. I'm looking forward to community relations where we're not even going to have to go to that, police station and ask, "Oh, do you have resources to help my young people?" I'm looking for it to be, entrenched in the system. I'm looking for it to be formalized, where there's a department where, moms like me, parents that are in their need can go and say, "My kid needs counseling." Maybe some communities already have that, but I want this widespread around the world where there's a police department, police unit that is all about community counseling, collaboration with parents and police relations. "Oh, my kid is getting into too much trouble at school. Can you have a word with him? Oh, my kid, this and that." And there's early intervention. Early intervention. Because a lot of these kids can be saved. A lot of them can be saved.
Look at what the guest said, our earlier guest. See how because he gave that child
another
chance. He has a good job. He's taking care of his dad now. They moved into their own home. So if we intervene, like you're saying, early now, it's gonna save lives.
I've seen kids that were taken to the jail system and they got to interview people in jail and all that, and it left a permanent impression in them, and they were never going to do crime because of their exposure. So we need to do so much of the preventive, because trust me, the same way kids have negative peer pressure, when we pile on the positive influence and coaching, it makes a lot of difference.
Makes a huge difference. Yeah. Well, guys, we're having another show inside another show. So
it takes a village. It takes a village. Come on, let's all come together as a village and let's save these young people. Let's save them.
That's right. Oh, my sister is here today. Of course, early intervention is the best route preventive. Yes. Thank you so much. And unfortunately, we're signing off now. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, right?
Who's coming on tomorrow? Who's our special guest?
Tomorrow, I think we have a story of a wonderful. Tomorrow we have Wilma. Wilma is coming on tomorrow. She's a special one. She has this strong sense of natural healing path. So she's coming to talk about natural herbs, little things that you can do for headaches instead of Tylenol, So yeah, she has some unique healing techniques. So I'm looking forward to being with her tomorrow for sure.
Well, I'm looking forward to joining you offline because I definitely will use some of those remedies. Yes.
Right, right. Yeah. So, guys, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, same place, Facebook and YouTube. Keep watching the Queen Amina show.
Thank you to people like Olayinka Hepzibah and all of our,
Absolutely.
constant,
Helen,
viewers.
I need to send something to Helen in Germany. This lady has followed the Queen Amina show from day one. Today is our 78th episode, and she is here every single day.
A shout out to all of you,
So,
constant, consistent viewers. A
thank you
shout
guys
out.
so much. Let me see if I can get some of the names, guys. Okay, so let's do this quickly since she brought it up.
Well, make sure you don't leave anyone out because I'm one of them.
What? Okay, so yeah, my sister-in-law is here. We have Ochochuno, Ida, Daniel, Mary, Tarek, King, thank you. Charles, John, Etop, Odeyemi, Simon, Young,
Hepzibah.
Africa Connect, Barrister Hepzibah, Mary, oh, my sister, Mary Manzo, Daniel, Eder, Comrade. Oh, Lord, many people. God bless you all.
God bless
Oh,
all of
listen,
you for
see, like
keeping
I
us
fall on my
track that.
different platforms. So because
Yeah.
I'm hosting on different areas, Issa came to share to share. Tusha, thank you guys so much. Everybody, if I miss your name, I'm sorry. But thank you guys so much. That was a wonderful section with Constable Niran Jayensan. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. You sick, any part of your body, you want a natural healing path, natural healing remedy, join in tomorrow. Don't be left out. It's going to be a wonderful day again. Thank you so much, Dr. McCall.
See you all later. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.